You mean in North America?
Exactly, in North America.
Where it belongs?
Yeah. Where it belongs. No, I meant where it belongs in the in prime time.
I get it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Penalty Loop Podcast, a podcast about biathlon by Jordan Gottschalk from Penalty Loop and a regular guest, RJ Weiss from Biathlon Analytics.
Good evening, RJ. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. We had a cold but wonderful day skiing today in Nakiska, an hour away. Mm-hmm. And I truly wish that we could have shared some of the snow we got in the last 2 days with Oslo, because we were like shoveling out 4 times on Saturday, and
oh my gosh,
it was pretty crazy. But also good because Canmore also got a pile of snow, and Nakiska is also in the foothills, the first parts of the Rockies, and they had 89 centimeters. They said that's 3 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So the skiing was awesome. It was minus 18 when we started, but then later on it was only minus 10 or 11.
That's not bad.
Some pretty awesome conditions there. So that was good. My wife was on a girls' trip, so I was home with the boys and a little more PlayStation time and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
but that's between us, of course. But
of course. I'm assuming she's not an avid listener of the podcast.
No,
I didn't think so. No, we had a good weekend. It was relaxing. Nothing too exciting here. Our fire alarm went off last night in the middle of the night. So actually, it wasn't even the middle of the night. It was actually close to the morning. And I had made the decision. I said, you know what? It's just a single mixed relay. The kids lately have been sleeping in till like 7:30. I was like, I'm just not going to get up. I'm just going to let it go. I'll catch up on it later. Then, of course,
and then Katie set the you set the alarm for me. She took it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And
she was standing with a match under the alarm to get everybody up.
Yeah, so everybody up. So kids woke up screaming, and I was like, "Well, I guess I'm awake now, so I might as well just watch."
I know. I had a hard time with the 4 a.m. Race time, but
yeah,
at least I got to watch every single race. Not live. Like I watched the second. What did we have? Oh yeah, I watched the 2 mass starts live,
and
then today I watched the mixed relay live.
The mixed, yeah,
and then the rest I also saw without knowing the results. So that was.
I did my best.
It was cool.
Yeah. I did my best not to text you. Yeah, it's still
as much as I love biathlon, it's still hard to watch a race when you already know the result.
Of course,
but definitely some races this weekend where, regardless if you knew the result, you still want to see it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because it was some pretty spectacular. To start off with one question.
Yeah.
Related to that, was Samuelsson caught napping or was he out of gas?
That was going to be my question. Yeah. I don't know. It was thrilling, and Christiansen loves the chase, so I don't know. But I've watched that. I've watched that end like 10 times, and I honestly can't tell. Because Christiansen came from.
It's just one of those things. Because Samuelsson kept looking over his shoulder until the last, when they go over that little bridge or whatever it is.
Yep.
And I think then he checked again, and I honestly think that he felt like, well, there's no way he's going to still catch up with me now. Yeah. And I'm not saying that he wasn't still pushing really hard, but because what was the split? Was like half a second? Not even, probably.
Yeah, 0.1
I still think if he would have realized that Christiansen was having that much more speed, that he I'm sure he could have squeezed out another second. And I think he just didn't expect them to come by. They were both out of gas, I'm sure, but
it was a shocking finish to the race, right? I mean, it was just you just don't see finishes like that rarely ever. I mean,
nah,
because sometimes you'll see a sprint, right? But they're kind of going back and forth the entire last lap. But for somebody to come just roaring up from behind and really catch him by surprise.
It's unbelievable. Like you can see, because it didn't seem like Christiansen's skis were that much better. Yeah. Like it seemed like they both had good skis. I didn't get the impression that on the downhill just before they go through the stadium that Christiansen was catching up a lot. Mm-hmm. But it's more that, and you saw that with most athletes, after the bridge, they tuck in a little bit and then they do the free skate without poles.
Yeah.
And it seemed like as soon as Christiansen was down that hill, he started like skate one.
Yeah.
So a pole push with every step, basically. Mm-hmm. And man, he was fast.
He was fast, but also like he doesn't look necessarily elegant on the skis. He looks like a bull, like charging. So it makes it look even more dramatic because he's like this big dude, and he's just barreling down the final stretch. It was
if
wild.
You call his style, what do you call it? Barbaric?
Yeah.
You're gonna have fun describing my style.
Oh well,
because that's always when I get to Canmore and I ski the first 5 minutes. In my, can't see myself, but I always picture myself pretty smooth and I'm very balanced and I feel good. But then, 5 minutes in, 10 minutes in, I get tired and my technique goes out the door. And I'm like Benny Dole squared, everybody part is moving in the direction that it shouldn't be in.
Yeah.
For those guys mixed relays may be a little bit different with the break in between, but or single mix, sorry.
Yeah.
But after skiing that much, and then they must have been completely exhausted by then. Yeah. And then still, okay, maybe it looks barbaric, but it's still pretty clean. Style to me.
He's just
so amazing.
He's just like a bigger dude, and so just like seeing I know. He looks terrifying.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Oh man, that was for a race I wasn't expecting to watch. Like that really had my adrenaline going.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and cool for Juni Arneklev too.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So I have a question about that later, but we'll get into that.
Oh, for Juni?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Excellent. Before we go too far, I just wanted to say a thank you to all the fans who sat out in the very cold rain and the fog and the chilliness, and they were great. Right, there was a camera shot of the crowd, I think, before the men's mass start, and you could see the fans that were sitting out on the course, and they're out on the hill, and the wind is coming, and they're all huddled under blankets, but they're still loud and they're out there, and it had to be. It just
I guess they'll do it.
No, well, I guess they're built different, right? They're all Norwegians, and they
probably, but there was still a lot of French too, and
this is true.
They were. I mean, to some degree, I can see that if everybody is in that misery, that you make the best of it and stuff. But the one thing I've always hated about Holland is the constant rain, and it just never stops. Goes on for days, and I used to get to school. I would bike to my school, and I get your jeans get all wet, and then of course there's nothing more fun than hitting each other with a flat hand on your wet jeans. On you.
That's great.
I don't know. I just don't do well with being in the rain. Like I'm not one of those people that just put a raincoat on and are happy as a clam. So,
well, this was particularly atrocious because it was cold and windy. I mean, you could just see the wind coming through at times, especially you can see it reflected in some of the shooting. But that was thank you to all of them for being out there. Biathlon stats, if you're listening, I hope you didn't get pneumonia. Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing, right? Could you imagine, like you're maybe your first time you buy tickets and everything, you schedule your traveling, and then let's just say less than ideal, but maybe we should just start getting used to it. I mean, we talked about this before, but is Antholz the last time we saw good fresh snow and not mixed with like brown stuff and yellow stuff and what else is on there?
And Antholz came through. Sounds like Canmore got a lot of nice fresh snow, so that's going to look hopefully nice. And, I don't know if Utah got it, but I know that out in California and out in Nevada, they got just enormous amounts of snow, like 10 feet of snow this week. So hopefully some of that made it out to Utah as well for Soldier Hollow this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you to all the fans.
And Utah is pretty high, eh? Elevation.
Yeah, quite high. Yep. So I would definitely qualify this as an elevation. It's like 5,000 feet. So I'm looking it up right now in meters.
1,800 meters or something? 1,500 meters? Yeah, because I think Canmore is about 1,100.
It is,
so I don't,
1,800 meters. Yep.
Yeah, and I don't know where the limit is when they start calling it elevation, but there's, a number of athletes that know that they just don't do well at elevation, so it's going to be interesting.
So by comparison, Antholz is 1,600 meters.
Okay.
So a little higher than that.
And I can tell you from numerous Dutch friends that came over for, some of them came over when they had a conference in San Francisco, and they would fly through Calgary, and we do this hike in Canmore, which is, kind of a beginner's hike. But you climb a couple of, I would say 600 meters in elevation.
Yeah.
And, I was pretty good shape then and wouldn't really break a sweat. And they were like panting like 20 minutes in, because going from sea level to, 1,100? I'm not sure what Calgary is, but I think it's over 1,000 meters above sea level. It's a huge impact. So
yeah. So
they don't have a lot of time to adjust, right?
Well, they're flying. I assume they're in the air probably right now. As you're listening to this podcast, they're in transit. I'll come back to that, but highest I've ever been was Jackson Hole, which is 2,100 meters, and
it's an interesting name for a high place. A hole.
Yeah, well, it's actually it's a hole in the middle of all the mountains, so it's just like this. Yeah. Anyway,
okay.
But this is when I was like in peak form. I was doing lots of road races, and I went out on a hike for doing some photography, and some coyotes started howling, and I don't know, like I started freaking out because there was nobody else around me. I was like, probably not a smart thing. Not that I think the coyotes are going to get me. I think I was going to be okay, but so I started like hoofing it back, maybe like 100 meters, and all of a sudden I'm like,
you come and get me. I give up.
I was like, that's it. I'm done, guys. It's like, it was so bad. So anyway, I like everybody racing this next couple of weeks. Like you guys, you have my eternal respect, obviously, for what you do, right? On a regular basis, but racing at this altitude, especially coming from Oslo, where it's pretty darn close to sea level. I mean, Oslo itself is sea level, but Holmenkollen being just up into the hills. But so hope everybody does well. But Claire Egan, she mentioned on Twitter, she said, I feel bad for everybody who now has to clean their clothes in the hotel sinks and clean out their rifles, and they've been sopping wet for 3 days, get on planes and fly all the way across the Atlantic. I was like,
I know
that's going to be a rough transit.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what's going to happen, because
could be some really interesting races in Soldier Hollow, at least, right? Just people who.
Well, and I find it interesting too. I know that the U.S. was racing in Oslo, but I think the Canadians all went home already.
Yeah.
So it's maybe in having a good preparation, because it's one thing to be here every time, but they've been in Europe since Christmas, I suppose, and before
At some point after the season, I would like to look at what the Canadians did this year, because it was a very unusual season for them.
Yeah, I don't think it went according to plan, so I think there was a lot of adjustments and
on the fly. Yeah.
But do you know, from a medical perspective, that so if you live at elevation and you go to Europe for a month or whatever, and then you come back, would you adjust easier or faster to the elevation again, or does it not?
So red blood cells live for 3 months. So yeah, you'd be just fine. So you wouldn't have all of your stores, but you would still have more than you would otherwise.
Right. Okay.
So think about it like people do, I was thinking it's interesting. People do like their training for short periods of time at elevation, which helps a lot. I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong. But to really get the benefit, like you need to train for like 6 weeks to really build up your red blood cell storage capacity. And this was Medical Hour,
definitely.
Brought to you by. So big thing for me this week, and this is like, no. This is, well, yes, it is related, but is the state of the overall races. And I think you can just look at this and you can get a lot of the big topics I think we're going to talk about in a little bit. But coming into the weekend, JT Boe had a 98-point advantage on his brother Tarjei, and Tandrevold had a 30-point advantage on Justine Breza-Boucher. Did I get it right? Yeah. Okay. I'm getting thumbs up. So did okay. So, but just 30 points. So JT Boe, 98 points, Tandrevold, 30-point advantage. And I think that if you had asked 100 people, maybe 99 of them would have said that at the end of the weekend in Oslo, JT Boe would have a larger advantage coming to Soldier Hollow than Tandrevold. But yeah.
To the point where I was really worried that JT Boe didn't even have to go to North America and was like, I'm going to, hang with the family and you guys figure it out over there who gets silver.
Well, it went the other way, right? So after two more races, Tandrevold's lead is now 93 points, whereas JT Boe's is down to 59 points. So I will tell you, just like I said, I think looking at that, tells you a lot about what you need to know. Tandrevold has 859 points. Batazzi is 93 points back, which calculates to she needs to make up 19 points per race in the last 5 races. Simone is 97 points back. Justine is 104 points back. And then on the other side, I said JT he's 878 points. He's 59 points ahead of Tarjei and 109 points ahead of Dali Skavdal. So,
well, and he could have been in second place, right? If Tarjei had shot clean the last lap on the mass start.
Yep, that's where I was going to go. Is that he is lucky to have that lead because Tarjei Boe.
You think he did it on purpose?
No,
no,
but
absolutely not.
Right, but I mean, it just shows you how fast those leads can evaporate.
Well, and especially after a number of seasons where some people were just so dominant, like we had QFM 2 years ago where he was super dominant, JT Boe last year, Simone last year. Man, I have to dig for the year before Simone. QFL. Was it Roysland?
Roysland, yep. And Roysland was dominant.
Yeah, she was very dominant. And now, so there's what? You said 5 races, right?
5 races.
450 points.
Yeah.
That's, and at the men, that is about 15 people who could still win, theoretically. If QFM wins everything and everybody above him doesn't finish, I mean, that's not likely, of course, but
and pulls out
theoretically, it's possible. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's...
I mean, I gave you the points per race for Batazzi. For Tarjei, it's 12 points per race. Which...
If Johannes doesn't get any points.
No.
12 points more.
He needs to make up 12 points on Tarjei or on JT Boe every single race. Wow. Which is not that much.
I'm already dreaming of a mass starting Camor without a clear winner yet.
With Tarjei, he does hold his own, right? He has his own destiny in his hands, right? If he wins every single race, there is nothing that JT Boe can do because he wouldn't, that would be more than enough points for Tarjei to, even if JT Boe came in second every single time, JT Boe would make up the points to take it over. Do I think that is going to happen? No, but it's possible.
Well, at the same time, the shape that Tarjei has been in.
Oh, I know. Yeah. And think about this.
He's impossible.
He's 35 and he won the overall globe in his very first full-time season on the World Cup. And now all these years later, he has his best
win is in his last.
It could be his last. I was going to say, if he wins it, is he done?
If he wins,
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Man, it kind of makes. Look,
And
I'm
isn't
sitting
it
here, I'm
funny
getting
how
goosebumps.
he ends up with Benny Dole
I know
in
every
the
time.
latter stages of the race?
Yeah. 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 Speaking of somebody else who's having a great season here,
Yeah, no
Benny
kidding.
Dole.
Did
right?
he recently say that he had finally decided that he's going to quit
retire?
after?
Yep.
Yeah. Eh?
So I pulled up his stats, right? So he has 2 wins this year, 4 podiums, and 8 top 10s. And 2 wins is his most in a season. 4 podiums is now his most in a season. 8 top 10s. He needs 4 top 10s in his last 5 races to set a career best for top 10s. So speaking of guys going out,
good
on
for
top,
him. Good.
Yeah.
Oh, and Mona Brorsen.
Yes.
She's retiring after.
Mm-hmm.
Is she retiring now? Is she still going to
I thought
North
she was
America?
going to North America. Yeah.
Oh, okay. But she's been having a pretty strong season as well.
Mm-hmm. She has, and she was on the podium in the
Ruhpolding.
Yeah,
she got second
right?
in Ruhpolding.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I couldn't remember. I knew it was earlier this trimester or the last trimester, but couldn't remember when.
So yeah, I guess you just have to retire, and then your last season is because we of course had Eric Lesser.
Mm-hmm. Didn't Arne Pfeiffer? Didn't he have a podium at the end of his career too? In Oslo,
I do not remember.
I think he had a podium in Oslo as well when he retired.
Do you know why King Haakon wasn't there?
He didn't want to get COVID again.
I think it's Haakon. Maybe, yeah.
That's a good question. I don't know. The rain? He's in a box, but maybe he just didn't want to. Yeah.
Well, I'm assuming his wife was the lady who was, I think, in her 90s. Did they say that?
Oh, are you serious? I didn't know they were that old.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know enough to say all these things, but I thought they said at some point that she was in her 90s. But.
So I'm going to go to the thing that you were going to guess was my big thing. So Tandrevold, did she fix it? Is she fixed?
I don't know. I thought so after the first race, but
yeah.
Then, yeah, that's a tough one.
Is she? I don't know. So yeah, obviously she won the individual and fourth in the mass start, and it could have been much worse than the mass start. Like she picked up a lot of places in the last 2 loops. But
so, do you think it has anything to do with on the individual? She's just racing against herself, and in the mass start,
out there.
It's very very clear who's. Mm-hmm. Well, there's other people out there, but you're not chasing somebody or you're not being chased.
I see what you're saying.
It's just
yeah.
And then there's probably less pressure at the shooting when you're just doing it for yourself rather than, oh, somebody's ahead of me and they just shot clean. Now I need to do it too.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Yeah, it's different when you're standing on the range right next to somebody, and she still. I mean, she was 19 for 20 in the individual, 17 for 20 in the mass start, and the mass start had particularly bad shooting by everybody. I think the wind was up by I think one person went 19 for 20. Hockey Gross was 18 for 20, and then 17 for 20 was the best of everybody else. So still decent for the day, but then the relay didn't go as well.
No,
I don't know. In total in standing, she only had 2 misses this week for the individual and the mass start. So it's a good sign.
So that confidence is back.
Yeah, and she has her destiny in her hands if she goes out there and does it in Soldier Hollow and Canmore. And let me tell you, man, if she wins the overall globe in Canmore, then we're gonna have a celebration. It's gonna be a party.
Yeah.
And by we, I mean you and me. I don't think we're gonna crash the Norwegian party.
Not you and her?
No. No. She's engaged, right? Or is she married yet?
Does it matter?
I don't. No. Not from that perspective. No, I would just
Like if
No.
she's single, then who knows?
No.
Katie's coming, right? 2 Canmore.
Yeah. I don't
Okay.
think none of this is happening, so it doesn't matter. This is just my own I was just my own personal curiosity.
Aye. No, but so after this weekend, I kind of struggled with I think we started at the beginning of the season. Now that she's kind of the leader of the team, do I see her become a Globe winner? And I think I said no, and it looks like she's on her way to prove me wrong, which is great for her. But I just, I don't know, there seems to be some sort of maturity or professionalism that I don't see with her. And that when I saw Juni Arnekleif, I think I see that winner mentality more with someone like Arnekleif or Arnekleif than I don't know, like Tandrevold. I just don't see that with her. And then, obviously she has her luckily small history with medical issues where she had her 2 or 3 times now that she had to quit the race or basically scrambled and just barely made it to the finish line. So I don't know. I just like even if she wins this year, which would be fantastic and well deserved, I'm still not seeing her as a 3 years in a row kind of. But
it's interesting, right? It's interesting, and because you look at someone like Simone and like she looks like a killer, right? Like she looks like when she's out there, she looks dominant. When you look at Vitazzi, even like she has the look. Yeah, Roysland has the composure, had the look, and Veer has the look.
With Jean Monod, even though she's she seems to also be like Tandrevold, always happy and in good spirits, but I see that more with someone like Jean Monod. And it also makes me think of Davidova, who I think has had the potential for a long time, but anyway, that's just me ranting on about stuff I don't really know much about. But
no, but I think I know, but I completely understand what you're saying, though.
But I could see even Arnekleif be sort of the team lead for this generation of
I wasn't saying even like we talked about Christiansen's skiing his form. When you look at Tandrevold when she's on she almost has this like oddly sort of like bouncy. It almost looks like uber energetic coming out in all directions. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like it just looks sort of playful as opposed to I don't know. I can't. And obviously, how I feel about her. So like this is not a criticism. It's just something I noticed.
Oh yeah, no. Talking about upcoming generations.
Yeah.
Where do these German women keep popping up from? I must admit, I'd never heard of Johanna Puff.
Yeah. They've got so many of them, man. It's unbelievable.
And
because they've got Groschen and Puff, and there's Tannheimer, and there's
but Groschen at least was she was a world champion, I think, at juniors, right?
Juniors, yep, yeah. Puff was, if she wasn't world champion, she had a couple of junior worlds medals.
Oh,
but
okay.
Yeah, there are just so many of them.
Yeah,
there's so many.
And I remember listening maybe 2 seasons ago to I don't know if it was the German Extra Runde podcast or the one with Pfeiffer and Lesser talking to each other, but that they were really concerned about German women, but looks like they
not anymore. They've
not
got
too much to worry about.
There's like a whole World Cup squad, like a whole 6-woman team in the juniors, or they're in the IBU Cup, but they're still pretty young. That are all they've all got potential. It's pretty nuts. There was a we're going to do a whole thing about the junior worlds, junior worlds, youth worlds, but there was a 15-year-old who had a couple of amazing races in the youth worlds for Germany. So they've just got talent coming out everywhere, which actually makes me wonder now, if that 15-year-old, if she was working with Matthias.
I think Matthias is working with even younger kids.
Oh, is he? He's like in the...
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was thinking like she might be right in that range.
Because I think, if I remember correctly, I think he's working with the group that when Arbor gets the Junior World Championships, they would be old enough for it.
Okay.
So, and since we were kind of sidetracked anyway, how did that Austrian girl that you mentioned regularly do at the juniors?
She did okay. She had an amazing leg in the mixed relay to bring them into, I think she started out, they were in 7th, and she brought them back to 3rd to get a medal. And then she had, I don't know if she had any solo, I don't remember, I have to look back. I don't believe she had any medals, but she had like all top 10s. So she was very good.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, she was solid.
Cool.
She didn't shoot as well. She had a very good season shooting, did not shoot as well. Her skiing was just as good as usual. So equivalent to some of her top peers who were already on the World Cup. So, yeah.
Nice. Talking about shooting not being up to speed. Vogt.
Yeah.
Horrible weekend.
Speaking of German talent, yeah.
Like, just the number of rows I can see is about 12. The worst is 80%, but it's mostly 100, 90, 100, 80, 90, So to shoot 70 and 80% in the mass start.
Yeah.
Again, conditions were very different for athletes and changing as they were shooting. But that was a bit of a shocker to see that happening.
Quite. I didn't look it up, but you have by chance the last time she shot that poorly?
No. She had 80% in Ruhpolding, 85 last year Oslo. Okay, so 2023, December 2nd.
Okay.
Or sorry, is it February 12th? I never know what the dates they write them differently in Europe than here. Oberhof World Championship, she had 75%.
So February.
In the pursuit.
Okay, so it's been a bit.
Yeah.
Well,
but
yeah.
I'm sure she's still the best shooter out there, but...
Now I'm curious. Let me look. So right now, best shooter on the women's is Emma Kapustova, a Slovakian woman, who, by the way, had a very good junior worlds. And then Vogt is 2nd, and then Vatazzi. Ukalek is 6th.
And I think, is Vogt still just looking at... Oh, look at that. Best prone is Benita Pfeiffer.
Look at that.
Canada.
96.9%.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
So it's interesting because Tandrevold, it must have gone down because she was like at 97% before this weekend. Yep. So she's 96.5 now.
Still pretty good.
Yeah. It's amazing to be 96.5% prone and 75% standing.
Yeah. Yeah,
anyway.
They're different types of shooting.
I know. Yeah. I just feel like there's got to be a mental block.
Plus that, standing for a lot of people is harder as it is. And then also being either the last two shootings or the second and the last shooting. So,
So I'm really curious now. What was the thing that you thought was going to be the thing I was going to mention first?
I thought you were going to talk about for Vobornikova.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know you mentioned her a number of times, and she had a wonderful weekend, right? So,
it was fantastic. Yeah, big fan. Yeah, so she was. What was she, 5th in the individual for her? Yeah, her career best.
And so I looked it up. So she had 5 top 10s in her career at the World Cup level, and 3 of those were in Oslo. So I think she likes Oslo.
I think so. Oh man, that's wild. Yeah, because then 8th in the mass start. So, pretty good weekend, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was exciting. That actually it was on my the top of my second page here when I listed all of my big performances.
Do you think Sturla Holmberg is or Ligrid is
took the words out of my mouth?
To? What do you think? Is he still going to make it really hard on the Boe brothers?
I don't know how high he's going to make it, but I mean, I guess
because his shooting has been quite inconsistent, right?
If you're going to win all your races, it's going to do something. Yeah, yeah.
I don't see it happen, but
no, I don't.
I guess it depends too in how they do at elevation. But
so here's the really funny thing, right? So if he passes Dalla, then he'll be in third overall, and it will still be his worst ever finish in the overall.
I know. Race. I was just thinking that. Yeah. Poor guy.
So I had some things in a way down that surprised me. His 3 wins this season are the second most in his career. So
really,
it's weird, right?
Oh, but wasn't it? Was his first season when he barely became second? That he didn't have a lot of wins, but
so and then last year, he was on the podium a ton, just could never beat JT Boe because JT won all the races there were. And then I see he's got 4 top 2s in his last 6 races, which is just a bananas number. So I don't know. We'll see what he does, but it's nice to see him. Oh, this is what I was going to say. It's his first time winning back-to-back races since 2021, which most athletes never win back-to-back races, but
most never win.
This is true. Yeah. So, but the fact that you can say it's his first time doing it since another time, but just that for him, it's been a couple of years.
What nation do you think has the best suit?
The best suit. I assume you're asking for a reason. I'm always partial to the Australian suit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that is pretty cool too. But I saw the Moldavia suit this weekend.
Pretty wacky.
Oh yeah, it's like a candy cane.
It's pretty nuts,
but it's cool. I love it.
Yeah. I wish we had more like that. Less navy
given
blue.
The fact that most of these nations wear dark blue with some hit. Am I just imagining things, or did Italy at the World Championships use their Azzurri blue, like bright light blue suits?
I think it did. I think they did it last year also.
I don't know why they don't stay with that.
Yeah, it's the best.
It's so much first of all, you can recognize them, and second of all, it just looks way cooler.
Yeah.
Maybe we should send the IBU an idea of letting voters come up with
vote on the
creative ideas for suits.
Kits. So 2 years ago, I had one of the kit designers that he designed kits for a couple of the different teams reach out to me on Twitter, and I wish I would have saved his contact because he sent me like some of the pictures of some of the ones that were coming out. This is back.
Did you ask about it, or did he just?
I had posted a screenshot of it, and then he responded to it, and then I communicated back and forth with him a couple times. But speaking of Italians, Vitazzi is up to second place in the overall. Is she Tandrevold's biggest challenger, or is that Simone?
I would put my money on Vitozzi of the challengers, I guess, if you want to call it that. I don't know. I'm still not don't get me wrong. Simone is having a fantastic season, but she's still a little bit too much of the old Simone, where she can win one day and then get in 24th the next. Well, maybe not 24th because she skis too fast and shoots too fast, but doesn't seem to have that super high end confidence at the shooting range.
Yeah, I guess good news for her is that
I must say, Elvira impressed me a lot this weekend.
It was nice to see her back, right?
Yeah. No, because she needs to catch up with 150 points. So
yeah,
But, she wins 2 or 3 in a row.
Yeah. You can make up points in a hurry with the new point system.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she really has a chance, but I can't totally rule it out,
Yeah.
Because if she wins the sprint and the mass start and Soldier Hollow, then, who knows?
Yeah. And there's 2 sprint pursuits, right? So
yeah, sprint pursuit,
and then sprint, you have a good combo.
Yes.
Somebody who definitely will not win the Globe is Franziska Preutz.
No, that's sad.
Another season, that's
another bust.
When she's healthy, she's right up there, but she's just missing too many races. And apparently now she's already not racing in Soldier Hollow, and Canmore is a maybe.
I know.
So it's really, I just really
her talent
for her
is great. She is
so frustrating.
One of the best. She just can't keep herself upright.
So do you think in her case, is it like a consistent medical issue that just keeps coming up, or do you think she's just very sensitive to getting a fever or not a fever, like a flu or?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. Hard to tell.
Or
some athletes
be long-term COVID.
Yeah, some athletes or some people just get sick more frequently, and some people, when they get sick, just don't respond as well. And no way of knowing with her. Or is there something underlying, right? Does she have difficult to control asthma? So every time she gets sick, it just takes longer to end with being a high level athlete, maybe different medications being used because of steroid restriction. I don't know. I'm completely theorizing. That's just a hypothetical, but it's sad because once again, we saw her when she was healthy and she competed. She was great. She was almost always in the top. I mean, was she always in the top 10? I mean, it was something ridiculous.
Majority of them for sure.
Yeah. I'm just pulling it up right now. This season, she raced in 15 races and she has 13 top 10s. So, she's always there. It's just making it to the starting line.
Right. Talking about Johanna Puff.
Oh yes,
the German. I wrote down the first moment I saw her. She really reminded me of Anna Magnussen. I don't know why.
Oh, that's interesting.
But maybe the stature.
Yeah,
she's a bit smaller. But I was like, oh, that's. They could be sisters. I mean,
that's
given the fact that they're a Swede and a German, it's not very likely, and that they have a different last name. But
hey, Anna Magnussen did awesome this weekend in the single mix relay.
No kidding,
right?
Yeah,
so that was really nice. Was it the individual? She had a good race as well. Yeah, 9th. So it's a really nice weekend for
her. And since we're with Swedes, there was something. Yeah. Did you see Stina Nilsson was it 9 misses?
Yeah, and I try not to complain about the commentators, and people listening might laugh because I think I do it every week. But they said something at the end of her race, and they're like, well, maybe she should start getting ready for the cross country World Cup next year. It's that's kind of don't hit somebody when they're down,
Yeah,
that just kind of irritated me. But it's I know what they're saying. It just it was right when she crossed the finish line. It's it's hard.
Yeah,
right?
and I thought actually those same commentators made a comment that at least her skiing was there, but she was still ranked 29th in course time. So it's not something you would expect. If anything, I would have expected her to be Lampage.
Yes.
Maybe having issues at the shooting range, but at least
killing
it skiing. But she's having an amazing season, though. Hey, Lampage. Yeah, her shooting sucks, but to be, what is she, 18th in the standings?
Yeah. And she regularly misses.
Makes
4 or
it
5
to the
shots.
mass starts.
Yeah. She is 18th in the overall. and she has I don't know. Lynn Pearson's not racing anymore because she just had surgery. So that's another spot that she's going to pick up. So she's going to finish, top 15, 16?
It's a scary thought if she can, well, I would think that if she improves her shooting, it might be at the expense of some of the ski speed, but
she doesn't even have to be good. That's the crazy thing. Yeah. She could hit like 85%. Like that's all she needs, which is not bad, but it would certainly not put her at the top of the list.
Right. Which was interesting, and it could be with the difference between a big team and a smaller team in WEX, but Justine Breja-Boucher was 10 seconds faster in the individual.
Than Lampic, right? Yeah. Yeah. She was...
Yeah, Dan Lampic, yeah.
Motoring.
And Sophie Chauveau was third, so French definitely
Chauveau, so it's
some good skis. Simone fifth.
Yeah. Chauveau had a great weekend because she had because she was finished well in the individual, and then what was she in seventh in the mass start? Yeah, so another great weekend there. The French had an awesome weekend.
Oh, depends.
Well, I wouldn't say awesome. I would say awesome. Don't say awesome. I was
just going to ask.
Yeah, I was going to say Jean Monod.
Is the person who is always positive, but I don't know if she's going to be super excited about Jacqueline.
Yeah, I was going to say that wasn't awesome. Jean Monod didn't have the greatest individual, but she looked awesome in the mass start. Jacqueline did things. Fabi. I shouldn't say. I'm gonna take back what I said. The French had a mixed weekend, but they had some really good successes. With Simone and Jean Monod both being on the podium, Fabi and Claude getting fourth place, and then winning the mixed relay. So, definitely some ups, definitely some downs, but
for sure,
yeah. Speaking of all ups, Lena Hockey Gross.
Fantastic, hey?
That was completely unexpected. Coming to the last shooting, I just in my head had it stuck. I was like, well, I just didn't factor. It just didn't occur to me that she could win, right? Of course, she could win. But
I don't know. I was not highly impressed with the editing of, or how do you call that? Whoever they broadcast and stuff, because Julia Simone, they never even showed any of her until the third round or shooting.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not saying it's easy, don't get me wrong, but it seemed some odd decisions of people that they did show and then not show. But
Simone is like one of the three people you would think that they would focus on the most.
I know, yeah. It's kind of, but I mean, she had a rough start, I think, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I mean,
Gross, absolutely
second of the season, and yeah. And you can tell that everybody else is so excited for her too, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think she's just one of those people that everybody genuinely has good feelings for. And so when she does well, everyone's, because it's amazing. I think I said this earlier, but she's 27, 28 years old, but she's already been out there for 9 or 10 seasons. Everybody knows her. And it feels like she's later in her career than she really is. But what if she's just this is the takeoff for her, her career peak in the next couple of years?
Yeah. And I just love, because to be very honest, I felt with Heikki Gross that she was one of those that, she can get into the top 10, occasionally, maybe even regularly. But you don't necessarily see her as somebody who could win, and to do it twice this season, it's just it's just so exciting.
Yeah, she did twice. I thought there was it wasn't an easy win this time around. There was pressure, and she did it. Three for career podiums this year. She only has 4, so that's pretty stunning. 7th in the overall. I was just like you. I thought she had sort of settled into that good, not great category, but I think that there's definitely another level that she's uncovering, and hopefully next year's even better. This has been a lot of fun.
Right.
It's just fun to have more, the women's the women's races in general have more nations up there, with, Sweden and Italy and France and Norway, and now adding Switzerland to the mix is a lot of fun.
Germany
was
there. Yeah.
Czech Republic.
Latvia
for sure. Maybe a little bit of
Estonia. Let's not forget the women from Estonia who's still doing really well since the World Championships specifically.
For sure. And another nation in that general vicinity of the world, Finland, on the podium in the single mixed relay. Did you happen to see when their last podium was in a relay event?
No, I did not, but I can imagine that that would have been quite a while ago, but with Kaiserainen.
No, actually, even further back. It was in the last century. It was in 1999.
No way.
Yeah.
Just like any relay.
Any relay. Their last podium in general was obviously Kaisa. Yeah, but yeah. So Suvi Minkinen and Otto and Vinius, nice racing. And it was fun because I noticed them halfway through the race being like in medal position. I was like, oh, this is great. It's fun that they're
on pressure shooting, right?
There. Yes. Yeah.
You see all these hot shots or top shots or whatever you call that, the people you would expect to do well. Uh-huh. They were missing, and then, she was just standing there 5 in a row, boom, gone. Uh-huh. It was fun to watch, man. I just love that where, people just have a really good day. And I mean, these are all awesome athletes as it is, but to just, come out of nowhere and just all of a sudden be in the lead. And
yes. Yeah.
And because they got third, right? In the end,
they got third. Yeah. Yeah. I was so happy for
well
him.
Deserved.
Yeah. Oh, I was so happy for him. Yeah. And Otto and Vinius is just one of those guys that I'm really happy for. He had that race last year in Oslo where the wax techs were like charging down, the way like they were screaming to encourage him. And anyway, I'm always happy when good things happen for these less represented nations. So speaking of Campbell Wright, new career best. I have it written down here. Yeah, new career best. So 8th place. So he's got an 8th, an 11th, a 12th, all in the last couple of weeks. So
he's doing awesome. And the relay teams of the US are, maybe not in the end the result they want, but they're in there, and that's really, really good to see. And he's still part of that, but there's also like Jake Brown had a great race a couple of weeks ago, and Deirdre Irwin.
So speaking of Deirdre Irwin, did you see her? She ran both the single mixed and the mixed relay.
I think there was 3 athletes.
Were there?
I read somewhere.
Okay, so I saw Deirdre Irwin do it. I didn't see anybody else. Yeah, but I probably just missed the other ones. I know. I love it though.
And I mean, I get it. Maybe it's like just do the best you can kind of thing. Because otherwise we can't start at all. But hats off.
Yeah.
Like that's...
Yeah, USA was, I think, 7th in the single mixed and 9th in the mixed relay. So Deirdre Irwin didn't do too bad. Pulling double duty. But yeah, no, I'm really, really happy to see some Americans starting to rise up there. Still a couple more guys that are on the younger end that are going to be coming up too. Maxime Germain had another top 10 on the IBU Cup this week, excuse me. So the Americans, hopefully in the next couple of years, maybe the 26 Olympics, able to make some noise. We got there someday an American is going to win a medal in biathlon. It's going to happen.
Well, I mean, I don't think Soldier Hollow is sort of the home base for many American athletes, is it?
No.
Because I think they do it more out east or Alaska. That's their 2
so
training
there's
centers.
3, I think. There's Alaska, there's out east, Lake Placid, and then I want to say Colorado.
Okay.
The only reason I want to say Colorado is just because all the other ski teams train in Colorado. So I could be wrong on that. Yeah.
Did you see Elvira fall?
No, I missed that.
Yeah, on the in the women's mass start, just after they ski through a tunnel, right? They go around and then go under.
Yeah.
Yeah, she fell coming out of the tunnel.
What happened?
So that put her back. I don't know. Probably just. It's hard. Those icy tracks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I don't know. Once you get in the groove, it sometimes just throws your balance off, and then if you're trying to compensate, but there's somebody on that side, you don't want to crash into somebody. So
was that today?
No, I think it was in the mass start. That's where I wrote it down. After her third shooting.
I totally missed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
She still finished, what, 8th? 9th? It's not bad.
She was 9th, yeah. But she was only 2 seconds behind Fabornikova and 9 seconds behind Chavot. Yeah.
Man.
Talking about falling, did you happen to see what happened to Stoller today? Because he only had 3 misses, but he was, I don't know if he was last yesterday in the mass start.
Mm-mm. Missed that too.
He came in 30th.
With 3 misses, that's really way back.
Yeah,
and Sturm was 7 misses, and he was a minute and a half behind Sturm.
Yeah.
I did see Florent Claude had a mechanical issue as well, didn't he? Like he had to fix something on his bindings.
Because I didn't see that.
He had 1 miss, and he still finished in 27th place. Yeah. Kind of a weird race for those sorts of things.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the ski times. Let's see. Oh, that's the rank. Yeah. So he was 30th. He was 2.5 minutes or so behind Florent Claude in total time.
Oh man!
And yeah, he was. He also, when he came across, he looked like he'd already kind of given up. So
yeah,
I just have a feeling that there was something with either mechanical failure, because obviously his rifle worked, because in those conditions 3 misses was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
that's bizarre. So I've only got a couple of things left, but one of them was, and kind of an interesting one I thought, was the mixed relay. Had 23 nations start the relay, and only 10 made it to the finish line because of nations being lapped. And I was sort of having mixed feelings about it. Obviously,
talked about it before, but that's a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Like, is it only because of the setup, having the women go first and then the men? Is it because of the bad shooting leading to lots of penalties? It just is a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's anything you can do about it.
You have to think too, like the top nations can put 4 strong athletes, or at least 3, where, the smaller nations, they, maybe have 4 athletes that are outside the top 15 or even top 30. So in that sense, it's not a surprise, but it's unfortunate.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, if you have the women go first and then the men, that means there are going to be women that are finishing up their last leg or their last lap at the same time as the men are coming on. Anyway, it just leads to a situation where the men coming on, who are very fresh and are going to be at their best, racing at the same right. You know what I'm trying to say? Racing at the same time as the women who are finishing up.
Yeah.
The men are going to be faster anyway, so they're just going to make up ground at a. It's almost like an accelerated pace. I don't know. Yeah. It's hard. You want all these teams to be able to finish the race. But on the other hand, it becomes sort of a safety issue once they're lapped. And also it's just more confusing for the race officials to keep track of.
Well, and you don't want to have, kind of the race over and then wait another 10, 15 minutes. But another thing I was really confused about was in the women's mass start. So Simone had a penalty loop, and it looked like it was taking forever.
Yeah, I didn't
like
catch
she
this.
went out earlier, but she had a penalty, and I forgot who shot better and went through the finish, but it seemed to be taking forever.
Huh.
It really stood out. Like, that must have been with was it with Heike Gross that Heike Gross shot clean, and then Simone went in the penalty loop. And I was thinking when Heike Gross finished, I was like, they're going to be like pretty much, Simone's going to be on her tail. Yeah, and it was 18 seconds.
Yeah, it was a significant enough advantage that it wasn't actually close. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to go back and watch now and specifically look at that because I wasn't thinking about it the first time around. But do you happen to know how fast Simone shot by chance?
No, I didn't.
Okay,
I can't imagine it being very slow.
Well, no, that'd be so out of out of character. So just looking it up right now, in the mass start, her last shooting, she shot in 21.5 seconds. And she left the penalty loop, 19 seconds down. That is anyway, I'm going to have to go back and watch it. That is a big gap.
I'm trying to find like penalty time, but of course that can't really compare that. But Simone, it looks like 26 seconds for a penalty loop, but that's still, in a fairly normal range, but just weird. Yeah, it just seems slow to me.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and watch it.
Explain why, but yeah. Well, I don't think it was.
I'll have to go back and look at to see if you can see it on the like you just watching the time, because they'll have what the split was.
Yeah,
or you can even just use a stopwatch and try to figure it out. A couple more things here. We had a couple of athletes get their first podiums with Jesper Nellen and Idalien.
Yeah.
Idalien having one of the wildest stories of the last couple of years. She was off of the IBU Cup team to start the season, and then gets to the IBU Cup and then performs well enough there. And at the European Championships, she makes it to the World Championships, and then ends up a week later with her first career podium. So that's kind of neat.
And I remember that we were discussing, should it be her or Arne Clive?
Yeah.
No, not Arne Clive, sorry. Kierkeide.
Kierkeide, yeah. Anyway, and then Nellen, he's 31 years old and gets his first podium in like his 150th, 160th race, something like that. So two different routes that were both really cool to see.
Yeah. It was just amazing racing, close racing, and
that was what was fun about it, right? Is that none of them were blowouts. Right. Even Tandrevold ended up winning the individual by like 30 seconds, but with her shooting,
it never felt like that.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, well, I don't know. We don't know what's going to happen here. Speaking of the last thing I wanted to mention in the individual was Vitazzi. She won the individual discipline globe, and that gives her three different discipline globes, all in the individual event. So that actually puts her second all time in most globes in the individual discipline, behind Magdalena Forsberg. Does that make sense?
I thought it was impressive and well earned, in the sense that she also won it at the World Championships.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. She clearly was the best.
But I still struggle with the individual globe idea, because they have 2 races?
3 races, yeah. Yeah.
Or 3, yeah.
I think they had one. They had the short individual in Antolz, and then this one. Yeah, it's kind of hard.
Mm.
Yep.
But I mean, good for her. Don't want to take that away.
Yeah, I just think it's neat. I wish there was a different name for it because I always feel like I'm stumbling over individual globe versus a globe in the individual discipline. But,
yeah.
I get it. I know the history behind it.
Yeah, I try to always call it non-team, but that doesn't really sound right either. But
yeah, exactly.
It's at least a bit clearer. And then, did you have any other things?
No, those are my big things.
No, I was more looking ahead. To the 2 North American places. I looked at the venue stats.
Oh,
and
okay.
What I found interesting is that when I look at venues that had at least an event in the last 10 years,
mm-hmm.
And look at the average speed of the top 10 racers.
Okay.
So in general, it's between about 23 to 24.5 kilometers an hour.
Okay.
Calgary's, at the higher end of the majority of the venues at 24.3. Then we have Autopay with 25.8, and then Soldier Hollow with 26.7 kilometers an hour. Really? Now, of course, that could be that they didn't have that many races and they were just happened to be fast conditions. But still, I mean, they had 16 non-team races last race in 2019. Mm-hmm. But that was just quite the gap. And even in the top, if you look at the top 30, they were, the majority of venues was between, say, 23 and 24, and Canmore again at the higher end of that. And then Soldier Hollow, 26.3. So again, quite the gap.
I'm sorry.
No, I looked at, the deviation between the top 30. So basically the gap between the athletes in the top 30, and Canmore and Soldier Hollow are at the top of the venues there as well.
Interesting.
And I'll quickly go over the shooting time because I was kind of waiting for the pod to start, and then it's like, that would be interesting to know. So shooting time, they're definitely in the higher end. Canmore at 34.5 on average, with Pyeongchang, Hochfilzen, Oberhof, and Beijing just a little bit higher. And Soldier Hollow at 33.2, and then many, like Lenzerheide is like 26, which sounds crazy, but
26 seconds
average, yeah. But again, keep in mind that like Lenzerheide only had 6 races, and
they were all this year.
It's a average of both standing and
okay. And Julie Simone raced it, so that obviously
and the percentages. Yeah. So averages, prone, Canmore is actually lowest with 79.5 on average, and Soldier Hollow is kind of in the middle with 83.9. Standing, it's Oberhof is the lowest, and then Canmore is actually in the lower end. Soldier Hollow again, sort of in the middle, and total
Canmore could be
obviously Canmore. Yeah, so shooting conditions in Canmore are not very favorable, which made me feel better about my shooting.
Can you speak to that? Yeah, I was going to say.
It's
actually, I think what it is
high
that
speed and tough shooting.
Is that athletes aren't accustomed to shooting with grizzly bears, I think is really the difference. They're not used to the grizzly bears being out there.
I've never seen that, luckily. But we've definitely had to postpone some of the training with deer on the range, and apparently that grass is really good.
The moose? Have the moose come by?
No, the moose, they like the valleys with wet areas, so we won't see those. But some people have seen a cougar around there.
All right.
Which is, you're not supposed
that.
to shoot, but it still makes you feel a little bit better when you have a rifle in your hand.
No kidding.
To scare it off, to be clear. But bears can be interesting because they don't care, right? If they a normal bear in the sense of when they're not accustomed to people, they see people and they're like, oh, whatever, I'm chasing a marmot, or I'm eating, or whatever it is, or just on my way somewhere. And
Biba is going to
there,
be really upset.
Them, they just kind of.
Biba's going to be really upset that you said chasing them because she loves marmots. She collects stuffed marmots.
Well, I didn't say they eat them and catch them.
Oh, okay. They're just playing tag.
Right? They're just chasing them. No, that's from a whole story where we were in a group hiking and we thought a grizzly bear was making a sprint towards us, only to realize that it was chasing a marmot that was running towards us. And luckily, the marmot dove into a hidey hole, so we weren't too
in
unsettled
danger
by that. But.
Yeah. I'm gonna come back to something we talked about a long time ago in the podcast. But do you know what the weather is supposed to be like in Kenmore? I know that it's still a couple of weeks away, but
I think for mountain weather it's too far out. But
okay,
I just hope it's not going to be too cold.
Yeah,
but our winter's been very, very warm.
Okay,
but we've also had a week of -40, so. That's the thing here. My first year I got here in 2006, I've had snow every month of the year.
Oh gosh, August.
So every month.
That's hard.
That's crazy. It wasn't like 3 feet, but
sure, it doesn't matter. It's snow. Oh, you'd like to be able to leave it behind at some point.
Sorry?
You said you'd like to be able to leave it behind at some point and not think about it.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, it seems like we're going that direction, but
so that is very sad. I'll take back what I said. I just pulled up the finished the results real quick, and Hannah Auchenthaler was back. Hannah Auchenthaler was back on the World Cup, and she finished 20th in the individual. So that was nice to see. And she qualified for the mass start and finished. It was actually pretty good, wasn't it? Yeah, 14th. So that was good. And then Lucas Hofer had a very good leg in the mixed relay, where he really set up Jacomel to be one-on-one with QFM, which QFM ended up winning that in the mixed relay. But it was just really nice to see Hofer again competing like this. He's not having the individual success, but it's just good to see.
Yeah.
I think that was it. I think that's just doing one last glance to make sure we didn't miss anything. Chicago.
Yeah, and I just want to mention, she had a good, was she 8?
12th in the individual, yeah.
Oh, 12th, sorry. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry, I interrupted
No, I was going to say, one of my teammates of the Fast and Fossil, she reached out to me because she is helping volunteers at the range for the World Cup. And one of the biggest concerns people have is the crossfire, because it's always hard to know what's really going on. And I hopefully was able to help her settle the group down, because based on the information available to me, and I don't know if in the recent years that's pretty solid, but every race sheet has a jury decision section. So if there's a disqualification or anything like that, it will be noted. And in the last level 1 non-team events, there were 964 races going back to the 2004-2005 season. 752 had no jury decision at all, meaning that it had jury decision and it said none. So it's not that there was just no data, but it was nothing happened.
Mm-hmm.
212 had one or more than one jury decision, and of those 212, there was 2 related to crossfiring. So two out of almost 1,000. It's pretty rare.
That's
Not to say that it won't happen, but what do you think?
We're
I just
for sure
kind of
going to
eyeballed this, but what do you think is the most common, or what are some of the most common rules?
Reaching across the line. Seen that twice this year?
No. Yeah. With different results, which still kind of annoys me, but
yeah. What is it?
It's actually less than 3 seconds starting too early in the pursuit.
Huh.
So apparently they have different, if it's less than 3 seconds, you get less time deduction than if it's more, and a round not fired. So
really,
people, whatever reason, still have a shot and they don't take it. Those were the ones that really popped out.
Hey, speaking of,
and that's for all races.
Speaking of rounds not fired, I noticed something interesting that I meant to mention this when we talked about Tandrevold earlier. But when she was shooting, I noticed, was it the individual? She when she missed, and maybe this is just something I was looking at, and I have probably seen it before, just didn't think about it. Anyway, hit, missed the 4th, and instead of advancing to the last target, she shot the one that she missed. Is that a common thing, or is that just...
Yeah, I don't see that a lot.
Yeah.
No, it's not common to my knowledge. Usually people just keep going, but I think if you go a little further back in time, typically Russian biathletes had a non-typical shooting order, and I think there it would happen sometimes.
Okay.
But yeah, you don't see it a lot. It's typically people just continue on. Because that's what they... you practice, because you'll see that, they always go left to right or right to left. There's a couple of athletes that start with the center.
Yeah, and then work across
Charlie
and then go back.
Target.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's definitely, especially in prone, there's a bit of a, leaning one way or the other. There's less pressure on your sling. So... And it's, I started analyzing it and I never really finished it, but there seems to be a trend. It used to always be left to right, just, I guess, from a cultural thing, we read left to right.
Sure.
So that's how people shoot. And you see more and more athletes shooting from right to left for that reason, that it's just a bit easier. Because if you think about it, like you usually align for the center. Yeah. So the 1st and 5th target, or alpha and echo targets, are most outside of that range, and
sure,
the right is for a normal right-handed shooter or right eye shooter. It's more and more start on the right and go to left. But unfortunately, I can't really tell you the physical advantages or whatever the reason may be, but I'll ask my coach tomorrow if there's a clear reason for it.
Yeah, I would love to actually know. I would love to know. Yeah, that's something that was interesting. Hey, last thing before we go. Growing out the beard a little bit for some wind protection out there in Canada. What do you think?
There you go.
Is it gonna be okay?
Looking good.
Yeah,
looking good. Yeah,
a couple more weeks. So
no, you just shaved the head, and then we're like in sync.
Yeah, exactly. I'll get right on that. All right, I think that's good. I think we've hit silly time, so probably we can go ahead and cut it here.
Yeah, no, it's
yep. When we start talking about beards, that's
man.
it. Yep. Yeah, I gotta fit in. All right, man. Everybody, enjoy your weeks.
Good to chat. Thank you for listening.
this is a sad day on the calendar. The last biathlon race of the World Cup season in Europe has been run. So next European race is going to be in November for the World Cup.
Yeah, but it's not sad. It's pretty darn exciting that the season is not done yet, and that we're going to have this pretty special season, and not only with being in North America, but being so close still, and so many potential winners.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. And we even get it in the afternoon here. It's going to be prime time back in Europe. So, biathlon where it belongs.
Should be good.
Yep.
Yes.
All right, everybody. Have a good week.
You mean in North America?
Exactly, in North America,
where it belongs. Yeah.
Where it belongs. No, I meant where it belongs in the in prime time.
I get it.
I get it.
Okay.
All right.
Take care.
Yeah.